Hello, dear readers. How are you all? I hope you are well. I am also well. But if you like this video and subscribe to The Hidden History of America, it will be even better. Today, I will tell you about CIA's MKUltra, Cold War mind control, LSD, and the real Manchurian candidate story, seasons 2, 3, 4. Those who have not listened to or watched the previous part yet, please watch the previous video link in the subscription. Those who have not liked and subscribed to the channel yet, please like and subscribe now and press the bell icon. Without further ado, let's get back to the story. Let's go! Season 2. The premise, the burden of knowledge. Dr. Leo Bryson is now a ghost, a wanted man clutching a partial ledger, proof of a monstrous program, yet insufficient to dismantle it. His escape was, as the agency intended, a calculated move. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, the Black Sorcerer, doesn't want Bryson dead, he wants him active. The hunt for the truth is designed to be his final, most devastating psychological experiment, the effect of impossible, unprovable knowledge on a moral mind. Meanwhile, Anna Vance is being held in a black site, her capture a perverse validation of Gottlieb's work. She is no longer an asset runner. She is a subject matter expert, forced to train the next wave of Manchurian candidates. The season will be a fractured narrative, Bryson's desperate decoding efforts against the backdrop of a widening conspiracy, and Vance's internal fight to sabotage the program from within her gilded cage. New players. Director Alan Dulles, the architect of the CIA, the formidable, calculating director of Central Intelligence. He views MKUltra as necessary to the survival of the free world and sees Gottlieb's work as the ultimate defense. His increasing paranoia and political maneuvering will drive the larger, public events of the season. Dr. Marty Keller, the shadow analyst, a brilliant cold case cryptographer from the NSA, seconded to the CIA to help Gottlieb build a new, impenetrable coding system for the MKUltra files. She is meticulous and apolitical, a woman of pure logic who doesn't see the bodies, only the numbers. Bryson will attempt to turn her, believing she is the only person who can truly unlock the secrets of the full ledger. Project 62B, the Echo, the next successful Manchurian candidate, a highly intelligent but emotionally fragile female operative. She is Vance's first forced creation, and her programming is even more robust than the jazz musician 57F. She represents Vance's complete moral failure and becomes her ultimate challenge. Chapter 4. The Fugitive and the Cage. Bryson. Leo Bryson is hiding in plain sight in San Francisco, living off the grid and obsessively working to crack the partial ledger. The codes are maddeningly complex, a mix of medical acronyms, military jargon, and Gottlieb's own bizarre chemical nomenclature. He realizes the key to the ledger is not what was done, but where it was done, the shell corporations and front organizations. He begins a perilous mission to visit the locations mentioned in the partial log, searching for discarded files or compromised personnel. Vance, the prisoner. Anna Vance is isolated in a secure CIA black site, not a prison cell, but a lavish, soundproof apartment. Gottlieb visits her personally. He offers her a Faustian bargain, help him refine the sleeper protocol by sharing her field observations, and in exchange, he will protect the man she cares about, Bryson, from overzealous field agents. Vance feigns cooperation, but secretly begins embedding minor, almost imperceptible flaws in the programming of Project 62B, the Echo, hoping to create a failsafe. The Hunt. The mysterious jazz musician, 57F, is still at large. He is an uncontrolled variable. The agency fears him, but Gottlieb views him as the ultimate proof of concept. The CIA attempts to hunt him down, not realizing 57F is subconsciously stalking Bryson, drawn to the man his handler, Vance, chose to protect. Chapter 5. The Encryption and the Betrayal. Bryson's Breakthrough. Bryson's research leads him to the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Subproject 68, where his own work took place. He finds a pattern in the patient identification numbers. They are not arbitrary. They are the key to the first layer of Gottlieb's ledger encryption, a phonetic code based on pharmaceutical names. He realizes the rest of the full ledger must be stored on a heavily guarded physical master file, the Mother Lode. Vance's creation. Vance is forced to oversee the final training of the Echo 62B. She teaches her the social cues, the emotional detachment, and the lethal efficiency of a sleeper. In the process, Vance sees the innocent woman beneath the trauma, solidifying her resolve. She subtly adjusts the Echo's primary trigger, replacing a symbolic image with a specific audible tone, a frequency only she can replicate. The introduction. Bryson's increasingly successful attempts to breach the front companies alerts Gottlieb. Instead of capturing him, Gottlieb sends Dr. Martha Keller, the shadow analyst, to clean up the digital files. Bryson sees Keller as his only chance. He intercepts her at a government auction of surplus scientific equipment, appealing to her pure scientific mind, suggesting her work is being used to mask murder. Keller, seeing the illogical flaws in the agency's suicide reports, begins to doubt. Chapter 6. The Moscow Directive. The test. Director Dulles, under immense pressure, orders Gottlieb to demonstrate the full potential of the sleeper protocol. Gottlieb agrees to an immediate field test, the target of which is a defecting Soviet intelligence officer in West Berlin. The Echo 62B is deployed, proving her programming is flawless. The moral conflict. Vance watches the mission feed. The Echo completes her task with brutal, mechanical precision. Vance realizes her minor flaws were insufficient. She has successfully created a monster. She tries to use her hidden tonal frequency to deactivate the Echo, but the agency has jammed all local frequencies, anticipating a possible rogue act. The Alliance. Keller, convinced by Bryson's plea and the mathematical horror of the ledger, agrees to help. She reveals the full ledger is a physical document stored in a deep vault facility in a secure location, Camp Perry, the farm. She can provide a single, one-time decryption key. She tells Bryson the full extent of the program's true goal, not just to create assassins, but to sow chaos and paranoia internally through calculated leaks and accidents, thus keeping the CIA's budget and political power perpetually inflated. MK Ultra is not about fighting communism, it's about securing the agency's existence. Season 2 finale, The Architect's Gaze. The double game. Bryson and Keller coordinate a break-in to Camp Perry. Bryson is looking for the Mother Lode, the full ledger. Keller is there to wipe the electronic index, effectively making the physical ledger unreadable without her key. Vance's Hail Mary. Vance learns of the Echo's deployment, and in a desperate, planned act of violence, she attacks a guard, triggering a massive security alert at the black site. She knows Gottlieb is watching the chaos at Perry. Her hope is that the security override will momentarily drop the local jamming frequency. The confrontation. Bryson finds the vault and the full ledger. It's not just a list of victims, it details ongoing covert actions against the US government and media to manipulate public opinion. As he's downloading the files, he's confronted by Dr. Gottlieb, who has anticipated his move. Gottlieb, smiling, calm. The chase is over, Dr. Bryson. This was the final phase of your experiment. The moral man broken by the truth he can never publish. You can't leak that. You'll be labeled a traitor, a crackpot, and the agency will be untouchable. The twist. Gottlieb's cleanup crew is about to move in. At the same moment, the security chaos Vance caused at the black site drops the frequency jam for a split second. Vance, listening to the commotion, lets out a high, sustained, nearly inaudible tonal frequency she practiced. The result. The Echo, who was covertly following Bryson to ensure his experimental integrity, Gottlieb's final test, hears the tonal frequency. Her programmed obedience to Gottlieb's security team shatters. Vance's failsafe works. The Echo, now utterly confused and in agonizing pain, sees only one authority figure, the Sorcerer's Hand. She attacks Gottlieb and his team, believing him to be the primary threat to her focus level 12 state. The escape and the loss. Bryson seizes the opportunity, grabbing the now decrypted Mother Lode. He escapes the base, leaving a wounded but alive Gottlieb and a rampaging Echo behind. Keller is captured. The coda. Bryson, now truly alone, is in a dingy apartment in D.C. He has the full, unvarnished truth, a document that could topple the U.S. government. He types a single anonymous message to a crusading young journalist. Check the congressional record for Subproject 30B. The game starts now. The phone rings. It's an untraceable line. Vance, whispering. Leo, you have the ledger. I'm going dark, but the man who killed Vic Stark is still alive. The hunt continues. Vance has escaped her black site, but she is now an independent rogue operative, completely off the books, a phantom in the machine. Season 3. The premise. The political weapon. Dr. Leo Bryson has the Mother Lode, the full ledger detailing not only the horrors of MKUltra, but also director Alan Dulles' plan to use calculated leaks and destabilization techniques against domestic institutions to secure the CIA's perpetual power. Bryson's task is no longer scientific, it is political. He must move the proof from the shadows of espionage into the public arena of the U.S. Senate, an environment ruled by Dulles and his allies. Anna Vance, now a truly rogue agent, is hunting Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, convinced that eliminating the Black Sorcerer is the only way to purge the program's poison. She is being hunted by the Echo, 62B, the Manchurian candidate she unwittingly created, whose programming now sees Vance as a secondary target and Gottlieb as the ultimate enemy due to Vance's failsafe. Season 3 is a race against time. Can Bryson convince a powerful, politically compromised senator to listen before the CIA can discredit or eliminate him? New players. Senator Ted Kennedy, the ally. A young, ambitious, and ethically driven senator from Massachusetts. He is one of the few politicians willing to challenge the untouchable power of the CIA, driven by his own deep-seated distrust of unelected authority. Bryson's anonymous tip lands on his desk, and he becomes the reluctant, high-stakes recipient of the ledger. Clarence the Hammer Reynolds. A ruthless CIA internal security chief, utterly loyal to Alan Dulles. Reynolds is the ultimate cleaner, a man who doesn't believe in interrogation or capture, only swift, permanent solutions. He is tasked with retrieving the ledger and neutralizing Bryson. The Silk, 57F. The jazz musician, the original sleeper asset. He reemerges not as a weapon, but as a traumatized, half-shattered soul, now using his hyper-efficient programmed abilities for self-preservation. He becomes an unpredictable, tragic wildcard, inadvertently crossing paths with Vance. Chapter 7. The Reckoning of the Truth. Bryson's move. Bryson makes contact with Senator Ted Kennedy, using the anonymous tip as the hook. Kennedy, initially skeptical, agrees to a clandestine meeting. Bryson presents a small, highly specific part of the ledger, proof of the CIA's subversion of a major media outlet and its involvement in the death of Vic Stark. Kennedy is appalled, but understands the political risk is immense. This evidence must be authenticated outside of CIA channels. Vance's search. Vance uses her deep knowledge of CIA safe houses and cutouts to begin tracking Gottlieb. Her pursuit leads her to a high-security research facility in New Mexico, where Gottlieb is developing the next generation of mind control involving biological agents, a glimpse into the evolution of chemical warfare. The hammer falls. Clarence Reynolds, the Hammer, is given a clear directive: eliminate Bryson and the ledger. Reynolds uses the agency's vast surveillance power to track Bryson's attempts to vet the evidence, setting a trap in Washington, D.C. The chase becomes a cat-and-mouse game through congressional office buildings and forgotten D.C. tunnels. Chapter 8. The Congressional Blind Spot. The Exchange. Bryson is cornered by Reynolds' team just moments before his second, crucial meeting with Kennedy. The Echo 62B, tracking the residual energy of Gottlieb's team, intervenes. Still confused, she attacks Reynolds' men, believing they are part of the sorcerer's hand. The resulting chaos allows Bryson to escape, but he realizes he's now being protected and stalked by his own proof. The interrogation. Senator Kennedy, now deeply invested, confronts Dulles directly. Dulles smoothly deflects, using the very techniques outlined in the ledger, labeling the accusations as Soviet disinformation and Bryson as a paranoid defector. Dulles plays the ultimate patriotic card, security over truth. Kennedy needs an unassailable witness. Vance and the Silk. Vance's pursuit of Gottlieb is interrupted by a chance encounter with the Silk, 57F. The former jazz musician is hiding, tormented by flashbacks. Vance attempts to appeal to his original personality, but his programming is too deep. Instead, she realizes she can't deactivate him, only repurpose him. She uses a complex series of commands to anchor his post-hypnotic suggestion not to obedience, but to self-preservation through exposure. She programs him to reveal his trauma to the public if he is cornered, a suicide switch of truth. Chapter 9, The Final Hearing. The Gambit. Kennedy calls for an emergency, closed-door hearing before the Senate Armed Services Committee to discuss potential vulnerabilities in intelligence oversight. Bryson agrees to testify, but only if he can present the ledger anonymously through Kennedy, using the senator as a shield. The decoy. Vance, having located Gottlieb's New Mexico facility, decides to create a massive diversion. She infiltrates the lab and triggers the release of a non-lethal, high psychotoxic dose of Gottlieb's newest chemical agent into the ventilation system. The resulting chaos provides cover for her next move. The testimony. As Bryson secretly gives his testimony, Dulles enters the hearing room. He doesn't deny the contents of the ledger, he justifies them. Dulles. Gentlemen, this document proves we have the capability to break any mind, and we must, because the enemy does. If we cease this work, we will be vulnerable. This is not a crime, it is the ultimate necessity for the survival of the United States. The committee is split. The revelation of domestic spying appalls them, but the fear of the Soviet Manchurian candidate is a powerful counterargument. Kennedy's gamble is failing. Season 3 finale, The Price of the Proof. The confrontation. Vance tracks Gottlieb, who escaped the New Mexico chaos, to a private air hangar. She confronts him not with a gun, but with the memory of the men he destroyed. Gottlieb, calm and utterly without remorse, tells her she is insignificant, a small functionary whose moral outrage is simply a variable in the greater security equation. The sacrifice. At the Senate hearing, Kennedy needs a final, undeniable piece of human proof. He sends a coded message to Vance, knowing her location is compromised. Vance makes her final choice, to become the evidence. She contacts the Silk, 57F, and intentionally triggers his exposure protocol. She then calls the security detail to Gottlieb's hangar, knowing the Hammers team will arrive shortly. The public revelation. The Silk, 57F, driven by his program for self-preservation through exposure, walks into a live press conference on the Capitol steps. Under the gaze of television cameras, he recounts his horrific trauma, his programming, and the role of the CIA, not as a crazed rant, but as a chilling, articulate testimony of a broken man. The cleanup. Reynolds and the Hammers team arrive at the hangar. Vance has subdued Gottlieb. Reynolds faces a choice: capture Gottlieb for interrogation or neutralize Vance to suppress the asset. He chooses to preserve the agency's structure. He shoots Gottlieb, a clean termination to prevent the sorcerer from ever being forced to testify. He arrests Vance, presenting her as the rogue agent responsible for the entire MKUltra program. The aftermath. Bryson, watching the TV screens in the Capitol, realizes Vance has sacrificed her freedom to protect the ledger and give Kennedy the necessary political leverage. Kennedy uses the Silk's testimony and Vance's alleged confession, which paints her as the mastermind, to force Congress to launch a full investigation. Dulles and the CIA suffer a temporary, significant political wound. The final scene. Bryson is once again a ghost, but he has passed the truth into the world. He watches a news report. Vance is being held in a federal facility, awaiting trial. The MKUltra program has been officially terminated, but a clandestine successor program, Project Monarch, is already being established under new oversight. Bryson is now a man with a singular purpose: to free Vance and dismantle the true architecture of power. He receives a single, cryptic letter from a deep state contact. The war isn't over. The architect's gaze is now on the Oversight Committee. The premise: the end of the experiment. Dr. Leo Bryson has the full ledger, but is now fighting the system from the outside. His singular focus is to free Anna Vance and expose the CIA's deeper architecture of power, which has moved beyond mind control to systemic political manipulation. Vance, the ultimate insider, is the only one who can identify the new heads of Project Monarch. The war is now personal: an escaped scientist and a condemned agent versus the entire United States intelligence community. The season will culminate in the final dramatic confrontation at the Church Committee hearings, a historical nod to the eventual CIA investigations of the 1970s, where the fate of the American intelligence system hangs in the balance. New players: Senator Frank Church, the investigator, the powerful, meticulous, real-life senator who heads the newly formed Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities, the Church Committee. He is skeptical of all government power and becomes Bryson's final, essential political lever. Deputy Director Eleanor Ellie Reed, the successor, a cold, brilliant, and ruthlessly ambitious protege of Alan Dulles. She replaces the disgraced Dr. Gottlieb and is the new operational head of Project Monarch. Reed believes in a completely centralized, politically weaponized intelligence agency. She represents the future Bryson and Vance must stop. Dr. Leo Bryson Sr., the ghost. Leo Bryson's father, a renowned, highly connected academic whose early career psychological research was secretly funded by the CIA in the 1940s, the true, forgotten genesis of the mind control programs. His work holds the final key to decoding the agency's internal communication structure. Chapter 10: The Architect's Shadow. Bryson's father. Bryson goes to ground, using the partial exposure of MKUltra to hide in the resulting political noise. He realizes the complexity of the ledger's final codes is beyond him. His search for a decoder leads him back to his estranged father, Dr. Leo Bryson Sr. The elder Bryson, deeply ashamed of his own unwitting early involvement in the CIA's nascent programs, holds the original cipher used to mask the project's funding structure. The reunion is tense, but the father gives the son the tools he needs to understand the true, decades-long scope of the conspiracy. Vance's interrogation. Anna Vance is in a maximum security prison, framed as the sole mastermind behind the illegal drug testing. She refuses to speak. Deputy Director Eleanor Reed, the successor, visits her, not to interrogate, but to gloat. Reed reveals that Project Monarch is focused not on drugs, but on total surveillance and political infiltration, using psychological profiles from MKUltra to predict and neutralize political opposition. Vance now realizes the fight is much bigger than Gottlieb. The escape plan. Bryson, now armed with the decoding key, learns of Vance's location. He recruits the Echo, 62B, who remains unhinged, but whose programming still sees Vance as a primary authority figure and the enemy as the institution. Bryson's plan is simple: use the Echo's lethal efficiency as a distraction for Vance's breakout. Chapter 11: The Queen's Move. The Breakout. The prison escape is violent and chaotic. The Echo creates a systemic meltdown, but her behavior is erratic. Vance and Bryson reunite, their relationship fraught with the emotional baggage of betrayal and survival. Vance reveals the scope of Project Monarch and the identity of the new architect, Eleanor Reed. The ledger's final secret. Using his father's cipher, Bryson finally decodes the last segment of the Mother Lode. It reveals that director Alan Dulles' ultimate goal was to turn the entire CIA into a private, unaccountable fifth branch of government, using the chaos of the Cold War and the fear of mind control as his leverage. The ledger names the specific congressional, media, and judicial figures Dulles has compromised, the true oversight committee of the shadow government. The Church Committee. Senator Frank Church announces the start of his massive investigation into the CIA's activities. Vance and Bryson know this is their only chance. They must get the Mother Lode, the ledger, to Senator Church before Reed can permanently destroy the electronic records and discredit the emerging narrative. Chapter 12. The Architect's Last Stand. The Lure. Vance knows that Reed, the ultimate strategist, won't be caught by conventional means. She understands Reed's arrogance. Vance leaks a false piece of information through an old CIA channel, that the original MK-Ultra Mother Lode is not the physical ledger, but a set of encrypted files on a compromised server, the server holding the Project Monarch master files. The Confrontation. Reed takes the bait. She orders a team to retrieve the Mother Lode from the supposedly hidden server. Vance and Bryson intercept Reed's team. Vance confronts Reed, not about the past, but about the future of a completely controlled state. Reed remains calm, stating that a weak democracy needs a ruthless, hidden hand to survive. The Silk Sacrifice. The Silk, 57F, the tortured jazz musician, returns. His programming has completely failed, leaving him a wreck, but the memory of Vance's voice remains. He intervenes in the fight, sacrificing himself to ensure Vance and Bryson can escape with the evidence. His death is witnessed by a lone, independent journalist, providing an immediate, verifiable report of the violence surrounding the evidence. Season 4 Finale. The Scorch Mark. The Final Gambit. Bryson and Vance reach the Church Committee hearing room. Security is impenetrable. They realize they can't just hand over the ledger. They need a witness who can tie the old MK-Ultra to the new Project Monarch, a witness who is still considered an insider. The Witness. Vance makes her final move. She has secretly recorded her entire conversation with Eleanor Reed, where Reed admitted to the Project Monarch surveillance and political infiltration goals. Vance, with Bryson's help, transmits the recording anonymously to Senator Church's office. The Unraveling. During the televised hearing, Senator Church interrupts the proceedings, playing Vance's recording. The committee members who were prepared to defend Dulles are shocked by the betrayal. The recording is the nail in the coffin. Result 1. Alan Dulles is forced to resign, a move that shatters the untouchable myth of the CIA's post-war power. Result 2. Eleanor Reed and the immediate heads of Project Monarch are arrested, effectively dismantling the program's command structure. Result 3. Anna Vance is exonerated in the court of public opinion, her name cleared of the mastermind narrative, though she must remain a fugitive from the surviving deep state elements. The Coda. Bryson and Vance meet one last time at a quiet, neutral location near the Canadian border. They are both profoundly changed. A scientist who abandoned the lab for the shadows, and an agent who found morality in betrayal. They have won the war against MK-Ultra and Monarch, but they know the war against the shadow state is endless. They decide to disappear, knowing the ledger is now in the public record, but their continued existence is a danger to the agency. Vance. They'll start another project. They always do. Bryson. Then we wait, and we watch, and next time we'll be ready. They part ways, heading into separate futures, knowing that the cost of freedom was the complete sacrifice of their former lives. The final image is a headline about the Church Committee's recommendations for a complete overhaul of U.S. intelligence oversight, a scorch mark left by the truth. Hey friends, thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us. If you want more stories like this, then complete 1,500 subscribers on our channel, The Hidden Untold History of America, and 2,000 likes on this video. And tell us in the comments how the story was, or what kind of stories you like to hear. Don't forget to like and comment. I love you so much.